What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video we'll be looking at the Grand Mafia. And I've been playing this Governor's War for quite a while, and it's about 2 weeks to the end of this, and this map for the Governor's War is the Last Stand. So it's my first time playing, and I'm ready to give you some tips, some reviews of what I think about for this Governor's War Season of Chaos map. So I think before I begin, I want to cover on all the similarities for the Governor's War, and they have all these same events where you sweep the streets, you rob resources, there's a killing day, increasing influence day, and also like using some speed ups. So that is very similar across all Governor's War maps. And also the central building construction, where there's 3 stages to it, and you kind of like get more buffs after you finish the construction of the central building. And apart from that, I guess Arsenal Clash is also the same, only that the placement of the different arsenals are different, so there might be advantages, disadvantages depending on where it is placed, because I know that if you own the zone and if the arsenal, let's say, is like within your zones, for example like this, I think, is it this? So if my faction controls the zone, I can just port outside the arsenal and like reinforce my raid leader, so you don't have to be worried about getting raided into this like grey area zone. So yeah, I know that for the Last Stand there's 2 arsenals where it's deep within the outskirts of the map, so there's no way you can access these arsenals outside of the grey zone, like these 2. And also the middle here, as you can see I'm inside, is the group warfare, and this is very similar to the Fall of Order, where everyone in the map is able to participate in this group warfare. And it's different from this like Blackstone Bay, where your faction territory has to connect and capture the zone, and then you're able to participate in the Blackstone Bay. So this group warfare is better for players or factions that cannot dominate the map, so you can kind of like get extra crypto coins from your rankings, crypto coins, or even like achieving like the personal tier, like similar to the Glory of Oakville. You're able to get extra 3000 honor state tokens and also 10 crypto coins, which is a pretty good deal, and you get speed ups, diamonds, everything that is really required for you to get stronger. So I think this group warfare is much more friendly towards factions that are unable to capture the Blackstone Bay in the Blood Treaty map. So this is what I like about this map. And the second thing I like about the Last Stand is that you have a huge area of desert and an even bigger area of the Zone 3, which is the downstate district. Obviously in Zone 3 you have better resources from level 4 up to level 7 resources, so you can rob and get more resources for developing or even training units. So that is what I like about this map. And the even better thing is that usually the zone is like just a little bit, but for this like Zone 3 is quite a big map. As you can see, it's like this entire area from here, because over in the middle here is not connected by a state checkpoint. So if you can see over here, this is just a normal like capturing the police station or whatever downstate prison kind of area, so there's no like restrictions on if you can cross over to the next area or not. So as long as you have access to this entire Zone 3 area, you are able to access up to this much. So for the Last Stand, the Zone 3 area is split into 3 different parts. So one is over here, like this diagonal straight, like this vertical area, this big area, and the bottom big area is all one zone. Also, strategy wise is very different from the other kinds of Governor's War map that I've seen so far, because for the Last Stand, once you capture the state checkpoint, it doesn't open up immediately, and you have to wait into like some sort of like voting process to determine which or what time the state checkpoint will open. So immediately after capturing this checkpoint, you are unable to like build your faction towers immediately, because you have to start voting, go through this voting process first. Let me show you. Like the special rules is that you can start challenging, and the quicker you capture the checkpoint, the more votes you obtain from over here, this area. And the more votes you have, of course, the more power you can determine when the checkpoint can open. And yeah, once the area is open, you're able to build faction towers. And for the desert, it's a little bit tricky because there are like two different areas. So the left part, or like depending on where your faction or where your city is located in, is the same layout. So there's one side of the entire thing will be the middle part will be blocked by another checkpoint where it is connected to the central or upstate governance building. Again, this is a blockage and it only opens up after a certain period of time, so usually factions won't really have to worry about the side where it is blocked off. Like there's cliffs over here, you're unable to enter the opposite city's zone, which is like over at the bottom here. And however, for the right side, there's basically a straight path. As you can see, like there's nothing that's blocking you, unlike the checkpoint. So usually the big battles will occur here in the middle, and the faction which is stronger can overrun the weaker faction over this like line. Basically, the strategy is to build the one that is much more vulnerable first, basically the open area. So obviously the right side, in this case is the right side, building your faction towers all the way into the bottom here where the two cliffs meet, and building your faction buildings, fortifying your defenses over here. So as you can see, there's a lot of like level 3 buildings here because there was a war that was going on here. Yeah, so that is one of the strategies that I think the faction of the city should take because of a very weird layout of the desert. I think it's similar for the zone 3 where this like weird opening is, so there's nothing like blocking it. Usually like stronger factions will come over here and block off each other, but in my case the other factions weren't as strong, so we don't have to worry about getting like sort of like blocked off. Basically the connecting areas without checkpoints are the hotspots and areas where you should build towards quickly to avoid getting your area or zone 3, zone 2 being shut down. So this is kind of like, I feel like the main difference of the map and some tips that I shared regarding my experiences playing in the Last Stand. The special thing about Last Stand is that number one, there are this thing called the Evil Valley buildings, which I will show you right now. Evil Valley or Evil Valley Camp. Oh, I can obtain the rewards. So basically all these camp can give you buffs depending on what kind of camp you build. So there's 3 different kinds of camp: the Kingpins camp, Development camp, and Robbery camp. So obviously Kingpins give you better Kingpins buff, Robbery buffs, and of course Development gives you better crew attack. Basically gives you more crew attack and gives you more training speed. So that's it. When you first start off in the map, there are a couple of like Evil Valley camps, and they start off at level 1 right at the zone 1 area. So for level 1 Evil Valley camps, the maximum level that you can build is until level 5. If the initial camp is starting out at level 4, it can be upgraded up to level 6, and if it's level 5, level 7. So obviously these better evil camps are right around the zone 2 and the zone 3 area. So here is the second strongest, which is the level 4 evil camp, which is upgraded to a level 6 over here, which is over here right at the zone 3 area. So of course capturing these camps will give your faction better buffs, and it's one of the ways that you should like see, do you need more Kingpins buff, more crew attack, and that's how maybe your R4 or faction leaders can determine what kind of camp to build. And the second thing that is special about the Last Stand are the faction towers, and there's many different kinds of faction towers, and you can see it through over at the Governor's Wall area, where the Tactical R&D Center, and over here the Tactical Command. You can see the different kinds of towers available, and this can be very complicated. I've rarely seen some of the towers being used, but the most common tower that I've seen are the tactical towers, the temporary towers, and sometimes the medical towers. So what these like tactical towers do is that over here upgrade your raid size. Obviously a bigger raid size can overcome or overwhelm your enemies better. So this is one of the towers that are more frequently used. For the medical tower, it basically like 20% of your wounded associates are automatically healed. So instead of the hospital, it goes straight back to the training center. So that's pretty good. You save resources and save healing speed, healing time. The tactical power is basically just buffs your crew attack, HP, and defense. Okay, so next slide is the convergent crew, and I've seen this a couple of times. So what this happens is that Usually when you destroy a faction tower, the tower becomes a neutral tower. But if you use a conversion crew, the neutral tower will not exist and it should really become your tower instead. So that is quite a useful tool, this conversion crew, which I've seen quite a number of times. So yeah, the next one we'll look at is emergency crew. Just converts your dead associates to wounded. And next is the demolition crew. This I've seen quite often. Basically, you are able to destroy the faction tower much more quickly because it just increases your demolition ability. Next is the tactical support tower. It automatically attacks the auto attack, so I think it's similar to like the governor state building where there's the four towers or 4 police stations at the corner of it, so you can choose to like deploy this government army. So basically you can deploy this government army attack continuously. So I'm thinking that it's quite a similar concept to it, but I'm not entirely sure because I've not seen it being used. This is the rapid construction crew. It's basically constructing a temporary tower. So I've seen this quite a number of times and it can be quite useful because you can basically construct this tower anywhere on the map where you have access to, and by constructing this temporary tower you can basically block off enemies' construction of their own faction towers. And I think the area or the zone of this like temporary tower is quite bigger than the normal faction towers. So yeah, I thought this was quite a good use on several occasions. Next is the tactical base tower, and I've also seen this used quite often. Basically it adds more health on top of your faction tower. The thing with these tactical base towers is that you're unable to restore the durability of the tower for whatever extra tower that is placed on top of the original tower. So this was quite useful in really like delaying the opponent's ability to destroy your faction tower. So this is a good delaying tactic. Next is the tactical raid tower, which I've really not seen this being placed. And of course the tactical duel tower, basically it's only a one-on-one, which is very interesting, but again not a very popular choice. Only if you have a very strong single player in the entire map. I don't think any faction would choose this because raid attacks are much more exciting overall. And lastly, the reserve crew, essentially similar to the Governor's War specialty, which prevents your underboss from being captured. And I think it's a waste of resource because each time you construct a tactical tower, use any of these skills, you're required to use the tactical materials, which can be quite a pain to obtain. And it's a collective effort from every faction member to sort of like finish their task and contribute to the total amount of points that you have. So I think the tactical center is one of the biggest difference in, or rather the unique thing about the Last Stand, and it makes things a lot more complicated, similar I think to the Land of Oil where you have stronger troops. So if you want a more simplistic game, the Blood Treaty is the most simple map that I can think of, except that the Blood Treaty is the only Governor's War map that I think accepts allies. So ally raids are a little more crazy. It can be a little more crazy because you can have double, triple raidings that might occur at the same time. So I think this is it for my review on the Last Stand, Governor's War Season of Chaos, the Last Stand. Everything else is similar except for those that I mentioned, the tactical towers, and also the group warfare for some of the maps, and of course the map differences, which I've already explained. So if you guys enjoy my video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you really love it, do make sure to ring the notification bell so that you get whatever updates I have. And do join my Discord channel. I might try to reply as quickly as possible, or I don't know, you can talk among other players which are happy to help out. I think just trying out this Discord channel and see where it goes. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again real soon.